Thank you so much for being here. We know that you have many options for your time and your talents, and you've chosen to give the Guild and yourself, hopefully, a few days here that we can meet together. I think it's critical for Vergers who are very strong and work in their own church and do things to take a few minutes, and that one of the main goals of the Guild is for us to gather in fellowship. In fact, the goals of these conferences are to let us get together, and generally we have 5 goals at a conference: education, fellowship, training, a little different than education because you're going to have a hands-on demonstration to learn something in training, and then renewal, and then worship, gathering together for corporate worship. And so we hope that this is, and we hope that every conference has that component and touches you in that way. The Guild today, the Guild is just doing great things. It's dynamic. We have the strongest membership. We have over 1,250 paid members. That's a phenomenal number of people from 47 states, maybe 48 states now, and 4 foreign countries. Remember, this is our 24th year. When 30 people gathered 24 years ago to say, there are a few of us all over the country, let's figure out how we can be organized. And we're really going to highlight that next year at our conference too, to talk about the founding of the Guild. There's several of our founding members here. Let's see, y'all raise your hands. Bill Gleason, David Jetty. Sometimes we have more, but we're going to have them all there next year. So thank you very, very much. The Guild has, our motto is service through worship and worship through service. So we've got to figure out how we can serve the church and make that a meaningful experience for ourselves. So the big thing the Guild did this year was go to General Convention. So at General Convention, the Guild participated in 3 different ways. The Guild had our booth, and 15,000 people come through that booth and see the Vergers Guild. It's an exhibit hall that would hold 2 football fields. It's huge. It's tremendous. I love the the exhibit hall at General Convention. I call it Episcopal Disney World. Excuse me. I realize where I said, but you just go in and there's every booth and every venue and everything. So we had the booth. We also have. There was an event. The Diocese of Indianapolis asked us to participate in their big fundraising event, and and our participation was Verger Olympics. And Pat Allen did a great job, and Danny Metter worked in that booth also. But it really, we were going to have this little race about how long it would take you to light all these candles and how you could carry these chalices back and forth. There were just too many people, so everybody just came and had a good time, and it was fun. If anybody wanted to light the candles, we'd let them do it, but it was a fun thing. And then the third thing was worship, and General Convention, for the last 2 General Conventions, has put in their bulletin at the back page, thanks for the Vergers Guild of the Episcopal Church. So we are now, it has taken us years to get this way, to be a presence in liturgies at the National Church. Prior to this, when we were in Denver, that was the only, Denver was like 1992 or 4. 2002 was Denver, thank you. That is only because the worship committee there and the Vergers of the cathedral work so closely together. Since then, the Episcopal Office 812 runs all of the liturgies, and so it's a top-down thing, and rarely are any Vergers in the local parishes ever contacted. So, and I can discuss that later at a time. But as you were looking at these General Convention slides, the booth was challenging. We had the big sign, which I'm sure you're seeing, the big triangle sign that says Got Vergers, which was our branding image for last year. And it took a crane to get it up there, and it took a crane to get it down, and that's the only time the guy just kept saying, we're going to do it this way, and I went, it has to go this way. But Kate did a wonderful job. Kate Penzick did a great job being our coordinator for getting the stuff delivered, getting the boxes. And then you can see Sid, Pat Allen, a lot of Vergers came. We put this out on the V list. 3 years from now, if you want to go to General Convention, you let us know, because we can get you a pass. It costs, you have to register to get into the exhibit hall. So, in other words, if you'll work a shift in the Vergers booth and greet people, we will get you in at no charge. So that'll be a good thing. The critical thing that we have found out, and the first time we had a booth at General Convention was last year in Anaheim, 3 years ago in Anaheim, and then this year in Indianapolis. And the thing that we were in this expansion mode of, let's make sure that if a church wants a Verger, we'll do everything we can to facilitate it. Well, we found out there are Vergers in churches that we didn't know about. So therefore, we're trying to find out and have a relationship, because there are people that would like to be in fellowship with our guild. So, we really do think, and it's incumbent upon all of us to kind of reach out and find out who those Vergers are. So that's your task, and I'm going to talk about more about this at the business meeting. But we really want you, and I talked to a couple of people last night in Nebraska and Michigan. We really want to find out, you came up to me and said, I'm here, this is the first time, we don't have any Vergers in my state or my diocese. Let us know. We will make an effort. I'll come to your diocese. I'll speak to your bishop or at a seminar, get on the program at a diocesan convention. So we would like to do whatever we can to expand and broaden this ministry, because if there are 1,250 Vergers that we know about, there are probably hundreds more that we don't know about. And we'd like to be able to offer them support if they would like to be associated. So that's what we're working on. The Diocese of Indianapolis, Catherine Wainick, the bishop, was thrilled that we were there. She gave us this beautiful little crystal, engraved memento, and wrote us a lovely thank you letter for being there. And she was lovely to work with. Anyway, that raised over $19,000 for them, and all that money went to Sudan. And it was fun to be up there. It was another opportunity to hand out the bumper stickers that said "Got Vergers." The serious thing I want to talk to you about the General Convention and the Episcopal Church. She's going to say something political. I am going to say something political. We have too much structure. We have an organization of 1,200 delegates that gather every 3 years. 1,200 delegates that gather every 3 years to, oversee a body of 2 million Episcopalians. That is the largest legislative body in the world. The next largest legislative body are the 800 people that get together every 2 years to oversee the Indian population of 17 million. 800, 17 million, 1,200 for 2 million. So there was a great movement afoot, and you'll see the little buttons that say restructure GC, that's restructure General Convention. At General Convention, the deputies and the House of Bishops voted completely, no dissent, to have a study committee to reformulate the Episcopal Church. That's going on right now. In other words, they've appointed the committee, and they're working on that. It has to do with legislative. It doesn't have anything to do with political or issues that y'all thought I was going to talk about. See, it has to do just with the structure and the burden, the overburden of all this expense. I have long said, and I am a delegate to General Convention, I have long said, if they would spend that much money in the parishes on evangelism, they could pay for the general convention. But they, in other words, it's an over-ended thing. So what does that have to do with the Vergers Guild? I think vergers are critical for bringing people into the church. I think ours is a ministry of hospitality. I think ours is a ministry of welcome. Your job is to welcome the visitor. That visitor might be the person that comes in and stumbles in and just says, "Is this a church? What do y'all do here?" Or it might be the bishop, Or it might be the newcomer to your acolyte program or the newcomer as a chalice bearer. So I think we have an opportunity to help stabilize and grow the church. They always talk about our numbers being down. So therefore, the reason I do what I do is to hopefully share with you that my belief is that being a verger is a ministry of service and hospitality and welcome. And I think that's what our job is. And so much of what we've done this past year has to do with raising our profile, and I will say through Scott Smith and the technology and communications, we are now high tech. There's not another organization in the church that's as upscale and high tech as we are. We've got an electronic membership file that Cheryl Cantrell has done a phenomenal job with. Kate is doing a lot of stuff online with registrations. Duke Dutil has all our treasury completely automated. We've got, I don't want to skip anybody, the Guild shop is phenomenal. And the thing that we've done with the Guild shop is try to have for you chamiers and verges that are affordable. You're welcome to do whatever you want. You don't have to do these, but these are easily attainable and affordable. So that's what we're trying to do, is be responsive to you as the verger so you can go and participate in all of this. Bill White is working on our documents library. This is going to be a huge tool. If y'all will go back and get your customary on how you did the Feast of Lights or how you did the consecration of a new bishop and send it to us, we'll post it in the documents library on the website, because we know you figured out how to get all those people on Palm Sunday around the church better than anybody else did, and we want you to share that with us. So we've got a document library. So we want you to give us all of your good ideas so we can post them on the library. So we've got this phenomenal guild shop and training and membership all online, in the communications. So we are working and we need you, and I'm going to look at my slides and see if you have any questions about anything. Oh, let me explain what my position was, because you've seen a lot of pictures up there, and I wanted to show you all my pictures anyway. Not really, but the General Convention asked me 3 years ago, and I knew the person, Sandy Webb, who coordinated through 815, to serve as the Master of Ceremonies. They know I'm a verger. They got it. They understand that. However, they said, you will dress in a white alb, and you do what they tell you to do, right? So every service at General Convention, all the players move. There's a service every day, and there's a different celebrant, there are different readers, there are different preachers. So they wanted one constant person who would be the same person on the platform every day. So I did that in 2009, and they said, we'll never ask you to do this again. We will never ask you to do it. It's got to be a priest. They said that to me, and I said, okay, I'll never do it again. And then they called me up, and the presiding bishop asked me to do it again this time. So I was very thankful, and that's where the Vergers Guild gets credit for it, but they won't let me vest as a verger. I vest as a chalice bearer or in a white alb. And that's for the image. They want all the pictures to be, they want to govern that for their image. And Scott's going to tell you about the image here in a minute. So I've got great stories about every day at General Convention, the worship. In other words, you do this big, phenomenal service with 7,000 people. And we did have Pat Allen, Kate, Ed Metz, Sid, and Danny were our 5 vergers that served in the Festival of Eucharist. And they did a phenomenal job. Yay. And they said yes, and we want. I said, and what do you want them to wear? They said, we want them to wear their vestment. So we're getting there. We're not there 100% yet, but we're getting there in terms of raising our profile within the national church. But every time we do that, all the bishops say, "Oh yeah, that worked really well. How come?" You know. So it filters back down that it has to do with the Vergers. We've got we're looking forward. I'll tell you some more about that tomorrow in the business meeting, about what we're going to do for next year. And Scott, you come forward and talk about, as Scott comes forward. But are there any questions to me about what went on? Or
if we have a customary from our church, how do we donate that to you so that it can become part of the document?
we would love for you to, if you have it electronically in a Word document, you can email it to us. If it's in a hard copy, you can scan it and send it to us, or send us the hard copy and we'll scan it.